All right, so we just started the recording. I'd like to say hi to everybody. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Penny. Hi, Chris. Hi, Getty. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Laura. Hi, Dee. Hi, Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to pin my painting now. And lower it. Okay, so I got started on this morning, and this is how far I got. I kind of like it so far. I'm going to start over though. There's my 6-inch, well, it's 7-inch by 7-inch, and then it's taped for 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. It's right in there. This is a picture I took on the low tide. The same day, all the surfers were out there. So when I have a picture like this, and I'm trying to decide how I'm going to paint it, and if I'm doing it for a class, I may do it really fast, just a couple different ways, and see which one works the best and the one that I think will work the best for you. So one of the ways that I could do this painting is I can trace it with tracing paper, which is what I did for that first one up there. Or the other thing, I can trace it and I can use PBO, or I can just try to leave the whites, or I can paint it without doing any tracing and maybe just sketch it and paint it like that, which I think today I will do. So those of you who want to print it off and trace it, have at it. But what I'm going to do right now is just get a water-soluble graphite pen and put a few marks into it and just start painting it. So my horizon line is about 1/3 of the way down. And this horizon line is slanted ever so slightly down because it's the beach, not the actual horizon line. So I just want to go slightly down across the page there. And then I'm going to put in that tiny little beach. And here is the same shape that I've talked about many times. Anytime I do an ocean scene with a bay, it's a sea. It's very, very gentle, and this can even go there. And what I love about this photo is the white foam and the patterns that it makes. So I'll put a few of those in. These will just be suggestions when I get going. I'm going to move the peak of that. Does anybody know the name of that mountain?
No.
No? Okay, I'm going to scooch it over. You can see when I drew it, instead of the peak being right in the center or near the center, I just moved the peak over. Make a little bit better composition. Right here on the side, that just goes up a tiny bit, and this one just sort of flattens out. Right above the beach, I have a line of trees, very small here. They get bigger. They take about half the mountain here. There's another layer of mountain in there. There's a couple layer of trees. You can put whatever you want in there. I love the two tiny bits of sand here and here. This is low tide, so that's why we have some little or the view I took has so little sand. And then I have all these big rocks in front. This is not the breakwater. This is the old road, I think. And I'm gonna just paint those in. I'm just kind of putting in a few marks. So that's my sketch. Scooch over just a little, oh, but not out. There we go. You can see my palette, sort of. If I took this out of the way, we could see it all. Alrighty. I am going to use my 1/2-inch brush. I'm going to get a paper towel. Water. And I'm going to wet the sky. This is water-soluble graphite, so it's just making sort of a gray mark. I'm going to kind of soften that because I really don't want to have a pencil line in this painting. So now that sky, I think I'll paint it like I see it. There is a little bit of raw sienna, but I don't know that I want to put that in today. Do you see what I mean about a little bit of raw sienna? That in this part of the photograph, it's pretty misty, and I do see a little bit of yellow in there. It's foggy, particulate matter. You know, maybe I will put it in. Just a tiny bit. So there's my raw sienna. That's just a little brush full of the really diluted, worked. One thing when you're putting in colors over a mountain that you do not want to do is go like this and then go up here over the mountain and then come down again. What you want to do is have that yellow streak be the same horizontal levelness all past your mountain. So that blue to me looks, I mean, we could use, I'm going to use manganese blue and maybe a little cerulean and just mix that up. And that's really close, just like that, pale. So I think I'll just do that. I don't know if I like that or not, but I think I'll go with it anyway. The one thing I might do is just put a little bit of French at the very top, just to give it a little bit more something. Yeah, I actually like that better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of boring before. Okay. Now, if this were dry, I'd go into that mountain, but since if I paint now, that's going to bleed into the sky, I'm going to do this part of the water. That part of the water looks like Antwerp to me. I touch my paper towel and I'm using my 1/2-inch brush, and I'm just going to go right up to that little beach line. The plumber likes motorcycles, so he and Clay may be new buddies. When you're painting the ocean, it's important to make every brush stroke horizontal. Even if you feel like they're rolling towards you, you have to paint it so that it's horizontal, and then horizontal and horizontal, all of them. Even if it's just gonna pretty much all fill in, you still wanna paint it all horizontally. So I just put a little bit of French into my puddle, and I'm gonna erase this line and see what it looks like. I thought there was maybe some dark blue right next to the beach, but I don't think so. But I see a little bit of dark blue right in here. So that's where I'm gonna put it. Again, it's all horizontal lines. You know what, I kind of like it a little darker back there. All right, I'll stick with that. I'm gonna go into the cerulean again, add it to that same puddle. And that's because that's the color that I'm seeing through here, cerulean and French, and a little bit of burnt sienna. So I'm just gonna start there, and I'm putting in now the wet sand. There's a lot of wet sand on that negative tide.
Cerulean and what else?
Cerulean and French.
Thank you.
That part right there that goes out, that's more French. I don't have the right color right there. Now I want to try to just mimic this shape right in here. But again, I'm keeping my brush flat. And I'm just going back and forth. I added a little water in there. That looks good. I like that. Now I have to leave my whites. That's the trickiest thing. Leave the whites. I love that beautiful blue water in these rocks. That's pretty in there. Put a little more French into it. The rocks are going to be so dark that they'll cover up this water. So I can be a little sloppy with the water. That's more French again. A little wetter too. Okay. I don't like the color of that spot right there where my brush is, because it's too much like the ocean. So I'm just going to try to get a little bit of I'm lifting it. And the way that I'm lifting it is I get my brush clean, and then I dry it in my paper towel, and then kind of just scrub it back and forth. And then I can use a clean part of my paper towel and lift it. And if I do that gently and enough times, I can get it where I want it. think I'll do one more time. One time I was at a workshop with Evelyn at a Zoltan Szabo workshop. And we sat for 3 hours and watched him repaint the same white flowers 3 times. And we just kind of looked at each other and we said, would you redo that many times? We're like, no. There, I'm going a little darker with my ocean in here. Oh, I like that better. Okay, that's getting a good start. I'm going to work on this in here in these whites. So this is really the hardest, most important part of the painting. And I just put the tiniest bit of burnt sienna into my French ultramarine puddle to get it that gray or blue. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just looking at this shape right here. That's the whites and these light blues. And what I'm going to try to do is paint the blues and leave the whites. I'm going to use the side of my brush, and I'm just going to try to get the feel of it more than the exact shape of it. It's easy to overdo it and not have any whites, but so it's best to start with too much whites, and then you can take them out easily. So I'm just trying to just sort of be one with this area in this picture and try to mimic it with my brush strokes. And all of these are flat. This right here, there's the slightest bit of tilt to it there, but otherwise it's all flat. So I'm trying to make waves with flat brush strokes. And then when I get it enough, I just kind of need to stop for a while. I think I'm almost there. What I'm going to do is go with a little bit darker paint. So more French ultramarine blue and more burnt sienna. That's it right there. And because I see some darks, like you can see this, the dark sand underneath kind of showing. So that's what I'm going for right now. It's just a little bit, some spots of darkness, especially right next to the surf. That might be my pencil mark though. Maybe I should erase that and see. it's too dark. There. Ah! More water. Quick. Okay. So it's all right. I think I'll stop with that part for now. Now, and go back into these mountains here. That is a very soft mountain. Get rid of that pencil mark. So this one here, this is really the same color as the ocean. The tip of it is a little bit darker, and then there's mist. There's another mountain there, and then there's the trees. So if it's the same color as the ocean, I've already got it made. So it's French ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt sienna. If I want to, I can put a tiny bit of Antwerp in it, and I go green it up. That's about it right there. So here we go. Just start at the top and work my way out. And emphasize it, make it bigger if I want to. Might even be more blue than this. Maybe less Antwerp and more French. Yeah, just put a little wet French on that. I like it better. There's a little notch. Oh no, nobody's gonna say, oh, you didn't get the shape of that mountain right. The only person I know that could do that was Jim Wilcox at anything in the Grand Tetons. Just the slightest thing, boy, he was on ya. Didn't get a lot of repeat students. Although I went back. He couldn't get rid of me. So I tried to soften that as it came down. I overdid it. So let me put a little bit more blue back up here. No, I don't know. That's too blue. See? My perfectionism is gonna drive me crazy till I get over this. So hard to let that trait go. So hard to use it in the right amounts. All right, and then I'm gonna make a darker green. I just left out that mountain right in there. There's another mountain, I'm gonna leave it out. Now I'm gonna go for the darker green. And it's not as dark as my rocks, but it is darker, I think, than the ocean even. So it's Antwerp and burnt sienna and more burnt sienna. There? Well, try some, I'm gonna put a little French in it. Yeah, there we go, I like that. Okay, now I'm gonna try. Not the right shade, is it? Hello? Yeah. That's better, that's better. I put more French into it.
It's okay. I just opened my last one, so I'm good for quite a while. I just thought I would get back up.
There's a bit of a nice straight line right there.
Okay, not a problem. Thanks. Okay.
I think I'm gonna put a little water in my brush and get this softer as I go out here towards the Ritz. That'll look like it's farther away. And that's kind of a boring color to me, that green that I just put in. It's all the same color all the way across. So I'm gonna change it up some. I almost see some purple in there. That might be my printer, or maybe a lighter green. Just could put in a little bit of Grumbacher. There's some little grass hills out there haven't totally dried out. That was 2 weeks ago. So a little green in there, maybe a little purple. Tiniest bit of permanent rose with French. Let's see, I'm not wasting a lot of paint today. Here's a little purple. Yeah, I like that, it's better. Now, this I have to bring down so that this is really skinny out here. My dog's at my feet and she's farting. So if you guys could just smell it right now, your eyes would be watering. Huh, Bachi? She's 13. She can fart if she wants to. All right, I'm gonna leave that. The next thing I'm gonna do, well, that's probably pretty dry. I need to put that sand color in. Oh, maybe I should put the rocks in and then I'll go back and put the sand in. So the rocks, I see that just as sepia. Sepia, sepia, sepia. This right here is a little bit of the sand color. So let's just see what sepia does. I told you guys last week that I found an old tube of Evelyn's paint and it was Payne's Gray. Not something I've used, but I kind of liking it these days. It's like sepia, but it's got more blue in it. And it's kind of like a cross between sepia and indigo. So let's just see what happens here. I want this nice and dark in the foreground. Like that one right there, it's on this nice pale blue and it really points out. It leads your eye into the painting, so I'm just gonna go for it and get a little darker pigment. Okay, here I go. I'm gonna use the same brush and put that point in right there. There. No guts, no glory. Now I'm just using the corner of my brush. And I'm just trying to make a little pile of rocks. It's all the same color right now. And I'm gonna scrape and put some darks in. So more sepia, more Payne's Gray or indigo. Can't tell if that right there is a reflection. I'm kind of done with reflections for today. They were very interesting though. So I'm trying to put darks more at the bottom and leave that first medium gray or sepia at the top. That's going to be a little sand. So this is not an exact copy. I like these little guys out here. I don't know if that's seaweed or rocks, but I'm going to just put them in with the same brush. trying to sort of, well, in general, the rocks are sort of flat at the bottom, but these aren't really. So the paint. I'm gonna try some scraping and see what happens. Sometimes it does nicely and sometimes you get a big problem. So see this, the brush? This brush, and if you have a 3/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, it has the same thing. It has a beveled edge. And if you take that beveled edge and you hold it like this with your index finger on the round part, you can scrape with that flat part. If the paper's really wet, you'll make a dent and the paint will flow into it and make it be a dark spot. And if the paint is just drying, you can scrape it and lift it up and make white. So I just made highlights that look like a rock right on that rock. And if I tried it again, I wouldn't do as well. And it's easy to overdo this, but it's also really easy to paint rocks this way. So I'm just kind of looking at my picture and trying to see where the highlights are, because that's what I'm putting on right now. And this looks like this is about 11 o'clock. So it's kind of high, maybe 10. So the sun is coming from I'm looking south and the sun is coming from the west, but it's very high in the sky. So I'm just taking off a little bit. These are already dried, so they don't work. Like that. Those look pretty rocky. I think I'm going to add some more darks though. So sepia, one thing about sepia I've learned in the last month is how staining it is. So if you make your own sepia with French and burnt sienna, you can lift that if you get a problem. But that sepia that you get from a tube is very staining. So I just made my own sepia. Not that I plan to lift this, but now I'm going in and making another set of darks at the bottom of these rocks. So that there's variation in the value. Not so much the tone or the color, but got a lot of good darks and good lights. Same thing here. Just change them up a little bit because those I'm trying to make just a little softer than these ones right in front. I see a really nice dark one here, which I don't have in yet. So I think I'll put a nice dark one right in here. And the white paper is all the sand. What's left is sand. So there's a set of rocks in front. This one looks like a big boob. So do I change it or do I just call it boob rock?
Boob rock. Boob rock.
I didn't think of that when I saw that.
I'll leave it then. My husband's eavesdropping and he's going to come look for it.
Of course he will.
He says, just heard, he goes, boob rock. All right, so all I have to do is put in the sand and the surfers. And so that's sand and that's sand and that's sand. And sand color, the simplest sand color to start with is raw sienna and burnt sienna mixed together. And then see how it is and then go from there. Or some people have some, oh, what was that? Well, there's different ways to make it. I just added my precious quinacridone gold, which is not what I wanted to do because it's not that yellow today. Sand color. I like that gold. call it Chris's gold. That's not, diluted enough, would that be it? More raw sienna. Maybe just a bit of that. All right, I'm getting there. I'm gonna go with this color. I don't need much of it. It's very, very pale. It's a little bright and too yellow, but I'll just blot it up a little bit. And it goes all the way. There's sand and then there's surf all the way out here. My paper towel's getting pretty blue, so I'm gonna get a new one and just set it across and run my finger and see how it lifted. Ah, great. There's a little bit of sandbar here.
Call from, call. Call from, call.
There's some dark at the edge of that sandbar because the sand gets really wet, and when it's wet, it has that French ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna. So there's that wet sand there. Some wet sand there that I put in a little more wet sand. It's wet right next to the surf there. Now I've got a wet brush, just a clean wet brush. I'm going to soften that because it's a little harsh. Then same color in here. My little corner that's waiting for the sand. Of course, I used up all my sand color, and I gotta make more. So raw sienna, burnt sienna, and the tiniest bit of that dark puddle. Lots of water. Let's see what we get. Okay, it's gonna be a good place to sign my name too.
We lost your phone.
Yeah, we lost your connection, Mary.
All right, somebody's calling me or something. Oh, my battery is low.
There you are.
But now I'm right side up. Now I gotta flip myself down again. Okay. Well, can it turn out? Yay!
Okay.
This phone, I'm finally figuring it out. It's way smarter than I am. All right. What are those two big black spots? I need to put a little bit of dirt in that sand right there, in that little corner, or sign my name, or both. Okay, let's get my signature in. Is that wet? Yep, okay. I'm trying to remembering to sign these. I'm trying to sign them kind of small. Don't tell my daughter I said that. Dee, thank you for laughing at all my jokes.
You're funny, Mary Kay.
Trying to all be laughing, but we're on mute, you know?
Ah, okay, so they're all funny, I gotcha. Okay, a little bit of dirt could even splatter if I was brave. Working. It ran everywhere. I don't like that sand color in the dirt right there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it up. Should have been blue, I think. Or maybe I shouldn't worry about it much. I do see the tiniest bit of reflection of the rocks right there. So I'm gonna put something to kind of settle those rocks down. This is French ultramarine blue with a little bit of my tree green in it. I'm just gonna see what happens if I put a little bit of blue at the bottom of these rocks. Yeah, I think that's better. It would be a little bit here too. It's kind of like planting a tree, it's like planting the rocks. Okay, I think I'll stop with those. Ah, we did it again. Eleanor.
Mary Kay, I don't know if you noticed this, but I can see two boobs.
Two boobs. Hey. Uh-oh. My husband wants to know what we're painting in here.
Movie rocks.
All right. I think the last thing we need to do is put in some little people, or it could be done, but I think little people is good. So I'm going to use my brush, my number 4, or I could even use the tip of the number 10 from the art museum. That's got a nice tip on it. And it's just little, they're all dark. They're just little black. Okay, now I don't want to use the sepia because if I mess one up, I won't be able to get rid of it. I want to make my own sepia with French and burnt sienna. That'll make a nice dark. And this one will lift if I make a mistake. You can see how nice that point is on that brush. And now I have to just decide where I'm going to put some little speckles. And then the ones that are right here, they even have reflections. So, all right, I just have to take a big breath and be brave. They're just little lines, maybe with a head and a little shoulder. And then I'm just gonna kind of rinse my brush out, and then I'm just gonna make a reflection like that in the water, in the sand. And I just have to be brave. They're really, really little out here, these little spots. And of course, what I just did was I made them all exactly the same distance apart. I made little groups of 2. They look like fence posts. Instead of people.
Call them fences.
Yeah. So they're out here, they're out here, there are a lot of them here. One guy's way out here. Boy, there's just dots out here. Well, they're all little dots. It's a busy day. All right. I don't know what I did here. I made little people, little dots. I think I should just smudge them a little bit and call it good. Okay, I'm gonna call it good. I'm gonna call it good enough. There we go.
Nice.
Looks good.
Very nice. Really nice.
Yes, very nice, Mary Kay.
Did anybody paint?
Yeah.
I did.
All right, let me put you on gallery. Okay, so I can see. Penny, go ahead, go Penny. Can you hold it a little closer, Penny? Not that close. Nice people. Wow. I really like your dark rocks and then the softness below them and behind them.
I
Really
can't see
good.
what you can see, so.
Really nice. Oh, look at you, Vicky. Wow. It has a little bit more of an abstract feeling to it, and I really like it. It reads Surfer's Beach really well. That's lovely. I like your purple tree line.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Really
pretty.
nice.
It's neat.
Somebody else was going to hold one up.
Well, I have what I've been doing, but it's not what you were doing.
Good.
Penny is responsible for the challenge on our online workbook class. And one of the challenges is to do a colorful insect. So I did a grasshopper.
See it. Oh,
Very cool. That's neat.
wow.
Beautiful, Chris.
So that's what I've been doing.
That's good.
Surfers Beach not too long ago when you were doing it before. Remember your everyday
Yeah.
things? So, but I did pay attention. I was listening very closely and watching how the boobs became.
There are two boobs there. I don't think I'm going to change it. I might just call it Two Boobs. That might be its title. Does anybody have any questions or suggestions or?
Great.
Chris and I are taking an online class for architecture, pen and ink sketching, and he talked about people because the latest one is New York Central Station with lots of little tiny people like this.
Yes.
Said you make a little dot and then you make a carrot under it. So you have a little head and then a little bit wider at the shoulders and taper it at the legs. So it's just a little carrot with a ball with a distance between the ball and the carrot. So they have a neck that doesn't really show. And that's it. Very simple.
All right. Well, I'll go put some carrots.
It seems like it works.
Carrot.
pretty well.
Yeah, your figures are good. I'll put some carrots with balls in with my boobs. Hey, are you painting?
I'm painting. I'm not crazy about it. I don't know. I'll fix it maybe.
Yeah, I think just keep working the rocks.
Yeah,
There's a, yeah, you're just not quite done.
right.
Yeah, good. Elaine, you gonna do it later?
I paint later, yeah.
Okay. Same thing, Getty?
Yeah,
Dee, did you paint? Laura's wagging yes.
I
Wagging.
did, but it's still doing that blooming thing. Here, I'll show you.
The blooming thing. All right.
See, it just keeps, oop, did it work? It keeps blooming here, and it was just blooming everywhere because I gessoed the paper, and it just goes crazy. I can't keep a straight, a line. It won't stay within the boundaries of where I wet the paper and where I don't. So it just splatters.
Gesso has its own mind.
Yeah.
The good
Yeah.
thing about gesso is that you can lift it up pretty close to white if you don't use a staining color on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always kind of just start over and over and over and over if you don't use Windsor green or indigo.
It is pretty frustrating though. It doesn't stay where you want it to.
Yeah. So the rest of you, will you show me, send in your paintings to me so I can see them when you do them? I love to see your work.
Sure.
All right.
All right, shall we sign off?
Yeah, that was great.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mary Kay.
Thanks, Mary Kay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Mary.
right.
Nice holiday. Everybody stay well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.